is up, YouTube? D-Rick here with Alliance Rift Gaming Network, and today I bring you my very first deck list for Cardfight Vanguard. And in today's deck list, we're going to be looking at the new Extreme Battler stuff with the new Excessive Battler Victor support and the new strides and G-guards and all that stuff for the deck. And today I have my friend Junior with me, who's going to PV his deck with us today and show us all the new and good stuff today. So, Junior, if you'd like to get started.
All right. Well, like you said, it's the favorite champ deck. It's the new stuff. It's really, really good so far. I based it around nothing but pure rush. It's a little different compared to other decks, compared to a lot of the usual Victor decks. They still use a lot of the old stuff. But yeah, let's just get started. In this deck, I run 4 of the new Excessive Battle Victor. It's simple. His GB2 skill is Rush. When he stands up, he gives all the front row units plus 2k, which it does stack, and that helps out a lot. And his on-strike skill is once per turn, when your Vanguard attacks, you can Soul Blast 1, you pick a Rush unit, and you stand that whole column. So far, the reason why I'd rather run 4 of him and make him more of the main Victor in the deck is basically because you don't ever really counter blast at all anymore. So, that helps for Aberrel, that helps for, Cool Hang, even for your strike units like Victor Plasma and favorite champ. It's simple, it's fast, and you have nothing to worry about when it comes to counter blasting. You're always ahead.
Yeah, I know you were talking earlier about like if your opponent's stuck at 2 and you want to breeze them, it's not as pressurizing for you having to have 3 open counter blasts to pay for Sea Breeze, and then on old Victor you have that open counter blast to stand something back up. Now, because you can just Soul Blast, it's so much easier to stand up and get all those combo plays going on.
Yeah, it's much more threatening. Especially if people really want to play the grade 2 game. This Victor just made it that much more easier to just finish the game, even on that stride, on the CB stride. Mainly because if they do put the grade 2 game, I've noticed that if I have a Cool Hank in hand or I have an Aberrel, I could potentially do 7 damage. So 7 attacks easy, or even just 6 minimum. And my opponent can't really guard because he's at grade 2 and he just has either a grade 3 in hand and like a PG, or just cards that he can't really afford to get rid of.
Right.
So that's 4 of those. I do run 7 grade 3s, and I run only 3 of the old Victors. People really disagree with this because people still think that he's more consistent, which in times he is. People find it that all the rush support grade 2s aren't really good at all, only like the promo. But like if you read the Excessive Battle Victor's effect, it's easy. You pick a unit with the rush skill and you stand that whole column. So even if your booster is rush, you can still stand that whole column. And he's honestly there because, just like everybody else that just runs 4 of him instead, he's another solid ride. Even if you have to waste a counter blast, that's still another massive number that you're gonna pull off. And he's also really consistent. So I'm not really afraid to ride into him or to not ride into him. It's old Victor.
No matter what, you're getting the best options at your disposal when you want to go into your restanding combo plays and all that.
Yeah, old Victor's always been old Victor.
He's still a good stride break, even if you're not on him or not.
Yeah. As for my grade 2s, I run 4 of the new promo, Sever Temper. He is actually a very key card in the deck. People really feel threatened by him. He is definitely just another Sazanda at GB2, and it does stack, and that's what makes it really good. But it's his GB1 skill that really pushes people's buttons. At GB1, if you reveal a grade 3, you retire a unit that's equal to or less to his attack. And even though I do run 7 grade 3s, and I really don't care if I drive check a grade 3, is that pressure that makes my opponent always target him. And the fact that they always target him, that's just less damage I'm going to be taking. And so the fact that I run 4, I really don't care if they do target him, because I'm still probably going to have 1 in hand, or I'm going to draw into 1, and I'm still going to have that, that potential to just reuse him again. He's basically just bait.
and for like matchups like gears and stuff, since you're already putting the pressure on and you're getting all your combo attacks off and just wasting away at their hand advantage, having an additional option to kill a rear guard with its GB1 skill is really nice to have, because if they need timely targets for when they go into G and then they stride, it's like say next stage, and they don't have anything in hand that they want to drop to time loop into, and they don't have the rear guards that they would have loved to have before. With him, you just retire the only target that they really have that's good for their plays, and it kind of screws around with them a little bit.
Oh yeah, definitely. And yeah, he's just like, the fact that he even has that extra skill of just being able to retire, it just helps out the deck a lot, especially when you pull off the retiring. It's just so key, and it really changes up the way the game will turn out. Even if you're behind, he can honestly put you ahead of the game.
Definitely an interesting card, definitely needed for young grapplers.
For my second grade 2, I only run 3 Cool Hanks. People actually run 4 of him, and they don't really run 4 of him and 3 Severed Tempers sometimes. At least that's what I've noticed. I feel 3 is fine. I only find a couple matches where I have to use him, and the fact that he's not rushed kind of sucks a little bit. But it's his skill to be able to stand something and get +5 that really pushes. And a really good combo with him is Severed Temper, where you attack with Severed Temper first, attack with him boosted, and you stand Severed Temper +5, and Severed Temper gets another +5, so that's +10. The only reason he's really there for, like I said, is he's only there for Severed Temper. He's just there to just keep making Severed Temper as high as possible, and just making your opponent, like I said, just feel threatening. The setup with him and Severed Temper is just it's really like a really perfect setup, if that makes sense. Because I've noticed many times if you have Cool Hank and Severed Temper on your rear guards, your opponent's always choosing, like, he's always thinking like which one he should get rid of or he should attack, just because they're both such a threat to the board. He's simple, like I said, he's just a simple old Cool Hank. Very
first G era set card.
Yeah. And then for the last grade 2s, this also basic. This 4 Abrils. Abrils simple. Counter Blast 1, Soul Blast 1, +2k, and then when he attacks the Vanguard, stand something +5. People worry a lot about Soul with the new Victor, and I find myself using Victor's skill and Abrils skill, fine. I don't really worry about Soul, because by the time I want to Abril again, or I want to Victor again, for some odd reason I still have enough Soul. Like I don't really abuse my Soul the way a lot of people would make it seem, because the way I have the deck built.
Especially with like the Victor crit, and then like definitely good techs like Red Lightning. Just fill your Soul with cards and then draw, and just have good hand advantage and keep your resources to a pretty good standard, so that you never without the ability to pay the cost for something.
Yeah. As for my grade 1s, my grade 1 lineup is a little weird. I actually run 15 grade 1s. That's the reason why I run 7 grade 3s. To start off, I run 4 Maliakis. He's also key in any Victor deck. Not really, I really shouldn't explain him. He's really old, but he's still really good. Like, to the fact that you're able to stand, when you stand something, you're able to give it rush, and when the unit attacks, you give 2 units +4k is really key. And the fact that it stacks is what really pushes people's buttons. I've been able to do this to the point where when my rear guard attacks that's in front of him, he's giving 2 units +12, because that's how many times I stood up that rear guard. And it just builds crazy columns, which I feel like Victor's weakness is the fact that he doesn't really push columns as much. But now with the new Severed Temper comboing with the new Victor and this, it just makes the deck perfect. Victor's always pulling off a lot of columns now because of this and Severed Temper. Very key card and a very good combo in the deck.
And there's a previous card from it was set 6, I believe. So everyone who plays the deck or has seen the deck knows what it does. So
that's my other grade 1. I run 3 Furious Punchers. Not so much for the second skill, it's the first skill that really kills people.
I know a lot of people. Are trying to play Bang Get because you can soul charge it and then you stand a unit on hit, and then it's the on hit condition that kind of throws people off because it's like your opponent's gonna try and guard a lot of it. So if you don't hit, that having that unit in the back as a boost or even attacking doesn't really do much because you can't pull its skill off. The Furious Puncher, the first skill is definitely a lot more crucial for those sizable columns.
Yeah, I mean, I tried running the other one, and like I noticed that, like you said, like I would attack after I stand up, and Rush would activate, but the column would be like an 18, 20, or even just 14, and my opponent, just guards it so easy. When when he stands up for the Rush skill, you choose a unit and it gets +5. Even though it doesn't stack, it's the fact that you can keep standing them up and keep giving, your whole board, just spread 5K around the board, and it just really makes up for, for not being able to hit the high numbers. He actually helps you hit high numbers. As for the second skill, I guess I would most likely use it against Mega Colony, being able to retire him and, choose a unit and stand it. But yeah, like I said, he's not really meant for the second skill. It's the first skill that really puts a big threat, because he's another reason why you always have massive columns. He just pushes for the right amount of numbers too. Your opponent always has to drop either 15, a G guard, or even just most of the time like 20 to 25, just for you for one pass, but just because of him.
Definitely a very good card. And that's one of the new ones out of the set 10.
Yeah. And then obviously your standard 4 PGs.
Why aren't you using? What's his name? Headstrong Battle, the Extreme Battle RPG. Why just the Unflipper?
I'm just not a fan of his rush skill. Most of the time, his rush skill ain't good enough, and he stays on the board, and he never returns to my hand, and it's kind of frustrating. Unlike the PG, I guess, you never know when you need the extra counter charge. Not that I really use any counter blast, but it's as simple as that. I guess just for the extra counter charge. Like I found the other one kind of difficult,
especially for the counter blast. I mean, it's a good additional guard option if you're short on cards in hand. But based on the way I'm seeing how your deck is built, it's built around maintaining better hand advantage, I suppose.
Yeah.
And being able to still have those big columns beside the fact.
Yeah. It's just I really can't find a good way to use it. Don't get me wrong, I do really want to use it. It's just I haven't really found the right build for it.
Right.
And obviously for Strike Fighters, I try to drop to 3 to be able to run the 8 grade 3s, but I've noticed it's just really, that one card really makes a big difference.
Especially when you want that one or the other specific units on your Vanguard circle. If you're stuck with old Victor and you want new Victor, or vice versa, having the option to fetch for it with the Stride Enabler is very helpful sometimes.
Yeah, plus the way I built the deck, like I said, if you do ride into the old Victor, it's perfectly fine. It ain't just because you ride into him, you're not gonna lose the game.
Right.
But you really would like to ride into the new Victor just because you'd rather just save your counter blast for Aberril and for Cool Hang, and even just for your strides, rather than use it just to stand up something, give it +5.
Of course. And then onto your trigger lineup.
My trigger lineup, it's a little weird also. I run only 2 Red Lightnings. Like I said, I don't really counterblast in the deck the way a lot of people make it seem that you should be doing with Victor, which I guess it makes sense if you're used to playing old Victor. Old Victor really had a tough time with counterblast, but I just don't really ever find myself counterblasting as much as I really need to.
He's really just there for the soul option.
Yeah, and obviously 4 of the Victor crits, simple into soul when it attacks, +5 and draw. It's like I said, it's more soul. That's all it is there for, just for the soul option. As for my draw triggers, I run 6 draws. Victor lacks hand, and Victor will always lack hand. He always has trouble with his hand. You always got to really think of what you want to guard with, even if you want to, if you don't want to guard. Only because if you do, miss guard and you guard with a card you may need next turn to push for game or just push for damage, and you don't have it, it sucks. And the draw triggers are just there just to, help you get to your stuff as fast as possible.
Now, I know you're playing 6 draw. Have you tried playing, that new Extreme Battler stand trigger? Because it does let you draw, and you get to stand a unit. I don't know how that plays around with your build or not, but I know it's an extra option for draw power.
I tried it, and I noticed that most of the time that I'm attacking, or most of the time my board is either 3 or 4 units. I never have a full board. And one time I was playing and I showed into Favorite Champ, and when I attacked Favorite Champ, I pulled the stand trigger, and all I had was 3 units, so I was forced to stand a unit. Because of that, Favorite Champ's skill couldn't activate, only because he needs to stand 3 to be able to stand himself as well. And I found that that was pretty devastating for me to run them. And I mean, they're really good. They're really good. Just being able to stand something for free and draw a card just because of the rush ability makes it for like a really, really good stand trigger. I just really haven't found the right playstyle to be able to use it without being scared of going into Favorite Champ and not misplaying and not being able to do Favorite Champ. Most of the time, the cards that are on the field are either my last few cards in my hand, or it's just honestly just for guarding for next season because I can't really finish them off with Favorite Champ. This deck really lacks like any kind of hand support, just because most of the time your hand's on the board because everybody's trying to get rid of your rear guards before you do your final blow.
Right.
And obviously just 4 heals. Simple, they're just heal triggers.
Pretty standard.
And then for my starter, I use Cabutron. He's very key in the deck. He's perfect for early, mid, and late game. And the fact that it's only when he boosts a unit, you kind of blast 1 for GB1, put him to soul, stand something, give it plus 2k is amazing. Because he's not really Vanguard specific. You don't have to boost and attack the Vanguard. You can just attack a rear guard and still stand a unit.
Now, why do you play that over the other one, Rumble? That's the one that stands itself. If you're in the same column stance. What's the difference between having that option to have a full column versus getting that extra attack? Is there like a key difference that you noticed, or is it just a preference?
Most of the time, that extra attack it would just force your opponent to drop cards that he needs. I found times where with Ramble, I will only attack like 4 or 5 times in that turn, and my opponent will still have like 3 or 4 cards, and that'd be like the perfect amount for him to stride, even push me for game. With him, if he combos with Aberrel, or when he combos with Sever Temper in the same column, he really helps, to push for crazy numbers and just push a lot of cards out of your opponent's hand. A perfect combo will be if Sever Temper's in front of him, you attack, you boost, you attack, and then you stand that whole column with Victor. Sever Temper will get a massive boost because of his own skill, and after you finish boosting and attacking again, you kind of blast, put it in the soul, and just re-stand Sever Temper again.
You're just getting like 3 or 4 more attack, like 1 or 2 more attacks with Sever Temper than normal.
Yeah.
And because you get to stand it back up, it just gets that much more power.
It just makes it push so hard.
If it wasn't big enough, it's big now.
Yeah, definitely. As for my strides, it's also really weird. People don't really agree with this, but I run two Favorite Champ Victors. People don't agree with it because it is true. Honestly, you only need 1. He's honestly just a finisher. I never really pulled off the infinite attacks like I really want to. Like I said, we lack a lot of hand, and by the time you're going into him, you still don't have enough cards in hand to be able to do it twice.
I know his cost is very expensive. You have to drop 3,
expensive.
and he loses 2 of his drive checks. So you're only getting 4 drive checks off him. That's basically net 0 for the turn, because pay the cost for stride, and then the discard 3 is 4 cards. It's like 1 shot short of like next stage, where next stage you get to do 5 drive checks because you get Jet's Twin Drive when he comes back, and you're only pitching 4 for that turn to really do that. So, but I guess the upside is that you get to stand like a bunch of rear guards and then do more combo attacks.
Yeah, I mean, like when you go into him, and let's say you have potentially 3 counter blasts left, because of him, you're honestly pushing 8, and even if you're lucky, 9 attacks in one turn. And if this is late game, your opponent is most definitely not going to guard 9 attacks. It's just way too much, way too high of numbers. And even though you do lose the 2 drives, and even though it's a very heavy cost, it's the fact that the numbers in their hand, like the numbers in the board compared to what they're able to guard with in their hand is just not enough. And by then you basically got the game.
Just a devastating stride tech.
Yeah, I mean, I only run 2s because I do have the G assist. I can just ditch 1 because why not?
Right.
And then I obviously run 4 of the Medium Kaiser Victors, the regular old ones. It's really simple. I feel like any Nova Grappler deck really should run 4 just because it's just a very, very powerful first stride, and you hit GB2 very fast.
It's basically a free restand with its first skill, just on hit, stand something, and then
stand something, and that's a big threat. That alone already is a big threat because of the fact that your opponent now is looking at your board and asking himself, well, should I let him restand and hope that he doesn't get a crit, or hope he doesn't get any kind of triggers, or do I guard this and not guard a massive attack? And if he does pull any triggers, obviously he's gonna go to the rear guards. It's very, very powerful as a first stride. And his GB3 is the same exact skill except it's not on hit, and it's just a free stand +5. So it really, really combos very well with the deck.
And that one's out of set 6 as well, amongst the other Extreme Battler support like Arboreal and Malayaki. So
yeah,
everyone should know what that does already.
And obviously, the very set 3, Victo Plasma. This is a key card in any, like I said, also in any Nova Grappler deck. Your worst matchup is obviously Link Jokers, Gears, Cargo, Narcomic, like anything that pushes your board away. It's just, this is really key. I can't count the times I've won. Even if everything was locked or I had like no other choice but to attack only twice, I would pull 2 crits, and my opponent's got to now guard another 3 crit or another 1 crit or 2 crit. Like it really, really pushes your opponent's buttons.
And unlike Mustard or Favorite Champ, it's not restricted to your rear guards. It's just stand by itself with drive -1. So you're getting 4 drive checks with no additional cost, like stand a couple of rear guards or have a full board.
Yeah, exactly.
You rely on him against matchups that are just like Link Joker, like you said, or Narukami or Kagero.
Yeah, and then I've run 1 Meteor Kaiser Trigood. I have him because people hate when their rear guards get retired. And they think if they're playing Victor, they think they're safe with stuff like that. And he really helps me wipe the board completely, or just wipe important rear guards that they may need to finish me off. Even in early game, if they're trying to push me early game, and I stride, and then they have 4 cards in hand because they try to push me so early. This will wipe the board out, and I really won't feel threatened by the next turn at all.
Yeah, and that one's out of the first, I think it was the first Fighters collection?
Yeah, it was the first Fighters collection.
So, a very good card. And it does, like I said, it's the same thing, like you said, it's the same thing as Cyber Temper. It's just an extra counter blast, and you can kill something on your opponent's board, and they're just not expecting it because they don't think Novas retire that much, and they're completely wrong.
They don't really counter blast a lot, so like it's perfectly fine wasting the counter blast for that. Then obviously Seabreeze, like we were talking about this earlier, Seabreeze is just Seabreeze, and with the new Victor, it's just a very stupid combo and very threatening, and your opponent, if your opponent doesn't see this coming, it's basically game, or you're just going to push him way too far and he's going to be way too behind.
Right, and like I said before, before you've been worried about having 3 face-up damage, now you don't really care because you're soul blasting to stand things up instead of counter blasting, which is really definitely a good change-up.
And as for my G Guardians, I run 1 Screw. You only honestly there because there's no other really good G Guards for Novas, and when you need to guard for 25 and you don't want to drop, extra cards in hand to be able to guard, or you don't want to drop a 10k extra to guard, you can just ditch a 5k and there's your 25k shield. Simple enough.
Right.
I do run 1 Dismal, you know, people love to target my rear guards, and Dismal is a quick stop to that. Especially if you want to save a Sever Temper, if you want to save a Cool Hang, you just go into Dismal, and then at that point, they're already frustrated and feel threatened that the next turn it's gonna, you know, push really, really hard.
Saving those rear guards to go ham the next turn.
And I run one Blue Prison. It's okay, G-Guard.
As long as you have more damage, it's plus 5k shield for free.
More equal to, you know, it's just pretty generic. That's all it really is.
Yeah. Everyone who knows the deck should know what that does.
And then I was playing 2, but I only run 1 here now. I might go up to 2 again. I'm still debating, but I run 1 honestly for, like, you know, if I waste all my counter blast. His skill is when he's placed on the Guardian Circle, if you have no counter blast, you counter charge 2 and he gets plus 5k. And then if you have no soul, you soul charge 2 and you get plus 5k.
So if you go on like a tri-breath turn, you completely like nuke your opponent's board and you eat up 5 counter blasts.
Yeah, you have nothing to worry about.
G-Guard this next turn. Oh,
yeah.
Hey, 2 free counter blasts back.
Nothing to worry about, exactly. Today I did find slight moments where I wish I had the second one because I didn't have enough counter blast or soul. But in the end, I honestly didn't need it because I still managed to pull off at least 6 attacks or 5 attacks. But yeah, I mean, he's an okay G-Guard. I really wouldn't mind, you know, I wouldn't mind this in an early game, especially like you said after a tribute and just, you know, counter charge, just because I, you know, basically like wiped off his whole entire board.
And just go ham.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing your deck profile with me. Again, this is my friend Junior, and he's showing off his Victor deck. If you guys have any questions or comments about his deck build or anything you want to add to the list or maybe change up a little bit, be sure to leave a comment in the, down below, and we can definitely share that in future videos and future deck lists for the deck as they get more support. And I will be doing a few more deck profiles in the future, so keep an eye out for those too. This is D-Rec. You're watching Alliance with Gaming Network, and I will see you guys in the next video.